After being shut down for 4 months, the Kingdome in Seattle is finally open for business. And today, the Seahawks come home to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. This was the scene a few months ago, tiles falling from the Kingdome roof. They pulled 40,000 tiles down after they had become waterlogged because of leaks. They've made $32.5 million of repairs to the roof here, and repairs are what both these teams need. Cincinnati still looking for their first win, going up against a Seahawks team that started 3-1 and has lost 4 straight. Mike Bush and Beasley Reese here in Seattle. I'll tell you how long it's been since they had a professional sports contest in the Kingdome. The last event was a Seattle Mariners game back when Major League umpires were actually calling strikes rather than being interrupted by a strike. Seems like a long time ago. There's a good look at the starting quarterback for the Bengals. His second professional start. That's number 8, Jeff Blake. The Bengals will kick it off. The Seahawks have elected to receive after winning the toss. The kicker is Doug Pelfrey. And deep, John Vaughn and Terrence Warren. And we're underway under the dome. Warren across the 25 to the 30. He's tackled there, and Rick Meyer will lead his offense onto the field. Racy Walker with the tackle. Meyer having a solid season, and up front trying to hold back the Cincinnati defense. Roberts, Blackshear, Donaldson, Mawai, and the free agent from Buffalo, Howard Ballard. The workhorse for his offense is Chris Warren, one of the most underrated running backs in the National Football League. He's third in the AFC in rushing. Meyer's favorite receiver is Brian Blades, sort of a Steve Largent type, great possession receiver. They like to go to him on third down. 3 wide receivers. Seattle comes this way, attempting to go to Chris Warren, in and out of his hands. And we're underway here in Seattle. Defensively for Cincinnati, they have 4 #1 picks in their front 7. Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson, who most believe will be a star in this league. He struggled some as a rookie. Steve Tovar will try to plug up the gaps that Chris Warren will be running through. They've got the free agent, Louis Oliver, as part of the defensive backfield. And the nickel package, the very competitive Corey Sawyer comes into the game. Sawyer with an interception last week. 2nd and 10 from the 30 for the Seahawks. Paul Green in motion. They give to Warren. Breaks it across the 40. First down Seattle, and he's out of bounds.
Well, Chris Warren is the guy for Seattle. He's one of the smoothest runners in the National Football League. Watch the blitz by number 29, Louis Oliver. Comes in clean, almost gets Warren, but he avoids it, and look how smooth and long this man runs. He's 225 pounds, 6'2", and that's exactly what Seattle would like to do today, Mike. They'd like to be, they are very predictable, very conservative. They would like to run the ball and throw high percentage passes.
18-yard gain for Chris Warren. Last week, a couple of fumbles against San Diego, said he's not even thinking about it. He's not a fumbler. Gets the ball again. He gets to midfield, a gain of about 2 yards. 2 fumbles last week for Chris Warren. 2 crucial fumbles in that San Diego game, but he's only got 3 on the year, and look at that rushing average, 4.5 per carry.
You know, I tried to get him to tell me what his personal goals were for this season. He wouldn't do so because he's a team guy, but I did manage to get 1 number out of the guy, that number being 1,500. That's what he'd like to rush for this year.
Yeah, he said he has numbers that he has in his head, but he doesn't like to tell the media or anybody else about that. He just likes to keep them to himself. Meyer is off and running. Another first down for Seattle. Deep in the Bengals territory. Down to about the 38-yard line.
This is great that Tom Flores would like to see this young man slide at the end of a play. He was telling us a story. He just walked up to Rick Meyer after he saw Rick Meyer drop his head and his shoulder and take some real tough hits and said, "Did you ever play baseball?" He said, "Yeah." "Well, how did you slide when you were going into second? Head first or feet first?" Meyer said, "Feet first," and he just walked away. Tom Flores just walked away, so you see the slide, the correct slide that time.
12-yard gain for Meyer. Again to Warren. Another big hole across the 25-yard line to the 22. Darrell Williams on the tackle for the Bengals. And Chris Warren eating up the Bengals early.
Gigantic holes on both sides of the line. This time on the left side, a crunching block by Jeff Blackshear and Ray Roberts. and then super running at the end of it as you see Chris Warren just pulling his way forward, twisting and turning, and just really a great job.
We want to welcome those of you who have been watching the Chargers and the Falcons. An upset in that game. There's no score here in Seattle, but the Seahawks on the move. Fourth carry of the game for Chris Warren. He had 35 yards on his first 3 carries. 12:14 to go here at the Kingdome in Seattle. This is the Seahawks' first game in the Kingdome this year. $32.5 million of repairs to the roof here in Seattle.
Now this Cincinnati defense is no slouch. You're talking about 7 number 1s on Schuler's defense by trade or by drafting by this Cincinnati team. So Seattle's doing a great job pushing a fine defensive unit around.
Ball Green in motion, 2-back set, play action pass. Meyer looking downfield, and Paul Green at the 1-yard line doesn't quite get in.
Well, talk about a little diversification by the Seattle offense. Coming into this game, only 7 receptions to their starter, Farrell Edmonds. Edmonds out with a sore back. So Green steps in, makes a big catch, takes him down to the, really, it looks like about a 1/2 of an inch line. And you don't see a lot of passes going to the tight end in this Seattle offense.
Green substituting for Farrell Edmonds, who's got a back injury. Edmonds normally the starting tight end. Now a 2 tight end set for the Seahawks. They give to Tracy Johnson. Touchdown Seahawks. And so a very impressive drive. Seattle gets the ball and marches right downfield for 6 points.
Well, that was too easy. That was just a little bit too easy. I really thought, of course, very early in this football game, that the Cincinnati Bengals had a chance to come into this building and compete and really maybe even get their first notch under their belt, but that was too simple.
There is an injured player on the field. Number 92, John Copeland, second-year man out of Alabama. We're talking to Bengals defensive coordinator Larry Peccatello yesterday, and he was telling us that Copeland has really been one of the big surprises for the Bengals defense this year. It looks like an ankle problem.
You know, while they are working on Copeland, let's take a look at the touchdown. Really what you got was great blocks out of 87 in motion, Paul Green, and the running back Chris Warren up front, sealing off the hole, and a super run by Tracy Johnson. Now Tracy's 6 foot tall. He weighs 242 pounds. So when you get that moving in the right direction with a little help from the teammates, it equals a touchdown.
And there's a good example of the great kind of player that Chris Warren is. Made a beautiful block on that after 37 yards of rushing down on that drive for Seattle. And then he comes down near the goal line and he makes a perfect block.
You know, that's a great point. Most of your great running backs are not very good blockers, but that's not the case with Warren. He does it all. He made the Pro Bowl last year for the first time in his career. He deserved it a few years before that, but finally got his due last year, and the complete player.
There's a look at Dave Shula, the head coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. Doesn't like what he sees early. Dave Shula actually made his NFL debut as a head coach here in Seattle with the Bengals. And in his debut, they beat the Seahawks here at the Kingdome.
Well, there's a look of concern on his face, and it's for good reason. Number one of his best players, sturdiest defensive players, still down on the field right now, John Copeland. You know, we'll try to find this for you. What it looks to us, he's on the left side of your screen, lined up at the defensive end position. It looks like he trips over someone. C92, keep your eyes following him. You see where he put the right foot down in the wrong place. Looks like he turned it a little bit. So they will take him underneath where they have portable x-ray equipment. Take a good look and make sure that it's nothing more than a sprain. And we'll get you information as soon as they bring it up to us.
Big John Copeland Second-year man out of Alabama, 6'3", 286 pounds. He's 23 years old, and he's on his way to the locker room.
Well, he's either real tough or he's not in a lot of pain. Because he looks okay there.
Yeah.
He looks pretty calm going underneath.
John Casey on to kick the extra point for the Seahawks. 16 for 16 point after this year. And the Seahawks march right downfield, and they lead the Bengals 7-0 in the first quarter. We're back in Seattle, where the Seahawks lead the Cincinnati Bengals 7-0. Mike Bush and Beasley Reese with you. And Beasley, we were talking yesterday about how predictable this offense is for the Seattle Seahawks, but the key play of that drive may have been the pass to their tight end.
They finally diversified a little bit. To be quite frank, I'm shocked at the ease with which Seattle went down. I really am impressed with Cincinnati's defense, even though they haven't won a game. But back to the offense, Seattle did diversify. They did get a ball to the tight end. That was the key shot. And I don't think that Cincinnati was expecting that, because only 7 receptions had gone to tight ends, to the starting tight ends prior to this game.
And the kick comes to Steve Broussard of the Bengals. He's tripped up at the 20. Tripped up by Max Strong. He gets to about the 24-yard line, and Jeff Blake brings his troops onto the field. A lot of changes on this offensive line for the Bengals. A lot of shuffling. Eric Moore back from injury, the starting right tackle. This should really help their running game. Green and Fenner in the backfield. The rookie Darnay Scott is Blake's favorite receiver. And on third down, we'll see a number of different sets, but the Bengals like to go to Broussard. Jeff Blake, number 8, the third-year man out of East Carolina, nearly was able to help the Bengals upset the Cowboys last week, and now there are flags all over the field.
Looked like a little movement on the right side of the line. Jeff Blake changed that play at the line.
False start prior to the snap. 60 offense, 5 yards, repeat first down.
That's Eric Moore back in the game. You know, he's been out a ways, a few days, a few weeks with a leg injury. So he's just a little bit off, but they're certainly glad to have him back in the lineup.
The thing that Dave Shula is hoping the Bengals don't do today is make the big mistakes. He thinks the Bengals can play with these Seahawks. Blake to pass. First and long. That's Derek Fenner across the 20, 25-yard line. Pounds his way to the 30. A big gain. Patrick Hunter with the stop. Defensively, the Seahawks just haven't been coming up with enough big plays, but they do have some big play guys like right tackle Cortez Kennedy. He can plug some holes. Outside linebacker Terry Wooden having a tremendous year. In the backfield, Eugene Robinson, the co-captain. Passing situations, they'll bring in the extra defensive backs, including number 21, Raphael Robinson. Second down and 4. And again, it's Fenner. Nearly gets a first down. I think he may be a few inches short. Rufus Porter on the stop. Derek Fenner drafted by the Seattle Seahawks.
You'll find that Fenner looks a lot like Warren. They're built alike. Their stride is alike. Fenner not quite as accomplished as Warren. As you can see the difference in the numbers. Warren came in with 713 yards. Fenner in an offense that does more things with more people. Only a little over 200 yards this year, but similar builds.
And that was a first down. First and 10 on the 34-yard line for the Bengals. Seahawks leading at 7-0. Two tight end set. The give to Broussard. Broussard crashes in to Rod Stevens, and he stopped for about a 2-yard gain.
Rod Stevens really popped Broussard. Now, the people in this building went ooh at the sight of the hit, but you have to remember that Broussard is only about 5'7", 200 pounds. So when a big man like Stevens at 240, 6'1", gets a shot at a little guy like that, they go down pretty quickly. But this Seattle defense has a lot of respect for Broussard, his screen catching ability and his draw running ability.
Blake play action. Near side, that's Harold Green. And that's another first down for the Bengals. Carlton Gray on the stop. And let's check in with NFL Live and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Mike, a week ago, Al Del Greco of the Oilers had a game-tying field goal attempt, hit the crossbar, and bounced back in the final seconds. Not today. With 7 seconds left, this 38-yarder sends the Oilers into an overtime against Pittsburgh, tied at 9. Mike?
First and 10 for the Bengals. Second first down of this drive. Again, Blake looking long. He's got a man. Complete to Carl Pickens. Near the 5-yard line, Carlton Gray on the stop. And the Bengals did this last week against the Cowboys. Blake's main man last week was Darnay Scott. That time it was Carl Pickens, 47 yards.
I'm telling you, the city of Cincinnati is so excited about Blake. He's a gutsy guy, goes deep, throws it up high, recognizing he's got great athletes. And look at Pickens, simply go and get it. Blake is starting off again where he left off against the defending champion Cowboys.
A beautiful pass and a beautiful catch by Carl Pickens to give to Fenner. He gets it to the 5-yard line, fumbles the ball. Was he down? The officials have not signaled yet. And now they do signal. The ball down the 2-yard line. It'll be Seattle's ball. And so another mistake by the Bengals. That's Robert Blackman, who appears to be injured on the play.
Now take a look at the end of the play. You'll see the fumble, but here's what I'd like for you to remember. Now, I've done 2 or 3 Cincinnati games this year also. Very difficult for us to tell in that pile whether or not the knee was down, but the officials were standing around and right there, so we'll go with the call. They normally make the right call. But you never can tell what Cincinnati's going to do after a bad play.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Compact, makers of the Contura Aero, so light and portable you'll never be tempted to leave it behind. By Wendy's, after 25 years, quality is still our recipe. And by DirecTV, introducing personalized TV.
We're back in Seattle. The Bengals have just fumbled the ball on the Seahawks 2-yard line. And the Seahawks will work from there. Flags all over the field. Warren gets to the 5-yard line before he's game tackled there. Let's go back and look at the fumble that gave Seattle the ball back.
It's very difficult to tell from this angle. There's 44, ball up in the air. It's difficult from this angle to tell whether or not that left knee rolled to the ground or was still up in the air when the ball came out. So our fine officiating crew, headed by Ron Blum, made the call, and it was a fumble. And Seattle's got a chance, but, you know, the big question is what will Cincinnati do? Teams that are having a difficult time, when they have a bad break like that, sometimes they fall apart.
Off the offside penalty, 1st and 5 from the 7. Meyer, the give to Warren, the workhorse. And he's tripped up there very quickly by Keith Rucker.
Keith Rucker's got a lot of quickness to be such a big man. 340 pounds of love. Look at number 95. That's good quickness in the hole as he stuck that big paw out and gathered Warren in. They need more plays like that at the line of scrimmage.
We were on the elevator with him yesterday.
Did it go
at the
up?
Bengals hotel. He said it's going to go down a lot faster now. The Bengals actually have more yards than the Seahawks, but the Seahawks have the lead. Steve Smith couldn't handle the pass. One of the big problems for Rick Meyer this year, he's having a very solid season. Larry Kennan says, though, not enough guys are catching the ball. He's got his 3 favorite targets. Steve Smith is not one of them, but he couldn't hold on to the ball.
Well, see, maybe that's why Smith is not one of his favorite targets. You know, you try to pass the ball around a little bit, and then the guys that you try to get involved in the offense drop the ball. It kind of forces you to go to Benny Blades and Chris Warren. Those are the guys I know will catch you.
3 wide receiver offense for the Bengals. He likes to go to Brian Blades in this situation. 3rd and 5 from the 7. Meyer flushed out of the pocket, and he fumbles the ball, and it may be recovered by Cincinnati, or did they say he's down for a safety? We're waiting for the call.
Well,
the Bengals want a touchdown. It's a safety.
It's a safety.
It is a safety. Alfred Williams on the play for the Bengals.
Well, what an interesting play. He had the out route, I thought, quickly to Kelvin Martin. When he didn't go for that, there's big Alfred Williams, who leads this team in sacks, sprinting around and coming up with yet another big play.
And so the Bengals are on the board, and they're going to get the ball back when we come back. The Bengals offense couldn't get the touchdown, so the Bengals defense gets the safety. We're back in Seattle, and the Seahawks will have to kick it away, leading 7-2. That's Corey Sawyer, the leading punt returner in the AFC. He just hits it. He just hits it, and he hit it to the 30-yard line, and there are flags on the field.
Well, the safety kind of signals that this is going to be a very interesting football game. Number 73, Ray Roberts, blocking on Alfred Williams, and Alfred squirting outside. Ray obviously thinking that his quarterback...
on the return team, 10 yards from the end of the run, first down.
So we had a holding on the return. They'll back him up 10 yards, but as I was saying, Alfred Williams saw that the quarterback was squirting outside. Roberts thought his quarterback was in the pocket. As a result, the nice little sack for the safety by Alfred. 6 sacks on the season already.
And so Jeff Blake back out of the field for the Bengals. David Klingler back home at Cincinnati, having therapy on his knee. And the give again to Fenner. Fumbled the ball the last time he had it. That is not a fumble. He was down. Picks up about 3 yards on the carry. Antonio Edwards on the stop for the Seahawks. Seattle got the ball first, marched right downfield, and Tracy Johnson went in for the touchdown. And Alfred Williams just sacked Rick Meyer in the end zone for a safety, and so it's 7-2. Seahawks leading the ball game. Bengals have the football. 2 wide receivers to the near side. Blake, not afraid to run the ball. Across the 30, first down to the 37-yard line. Ron Stevens finally made the tackle.
You know, we talked to Blake about his ability to run. He said that he's an all-around quarterback, not just a passer, not just a runner. And he said that his father was his offensive coordinator when he played in high school, and his father taught him whatever you have to do to get the job done. And look what a young quarterback does. He puts his shoulders and head down, gets a little more mature, he'll start sliding.
Yeah, we tried to ask him, are you a drop-back quarterback? Are you a running quarterback? He says, I'm a well-rounded quarterback. He does not want to be stereotyped. Fenner, a couple of yards. Stevens again on the tackle. And he's really, Jeff Blake, a refreshing guy. Very positive attitude.
You better believe it.
And he said, you know, I haven't proven anything by just playing in one game against the world champion Dallas Cowboys and doing pretty well. He said, but I will prove something in the National Football League.
You know, believe it or not, Fenner dropped that ball again at the end of this play. Now, I saw the running back, Coach Jim Anderson, talking to him on the sideline. You see that ball come out of there? Oh, my goodness. Come on, Fenner.
2nd and 7. From the 40-yard line. Quick hit this way to Pickens. Pickens across the 45. Stopped by Patrick Hunter.
Nice. That's called a 3-step drop by the quarterback. It's one of those quick hit plays. Just raises the ball up and pops it out there quickly. Another completion for Blake.
Jeff Blake had 67 and 50-yard touchdown passes last week to Darnay Scott. 320 yards of offense for the Bengals a week ago, and they're going to have a measurement on this Pickens reception. See if it's a first down. It is a first down for the Bengals. So Cincinnati's offense, except for the fact that they can't hang on to the ball, has been very impressive.
It really has been. Jeff Blake has changed a couple of plays at the line of scrimmage. One of the things that I find refreshing about the guy is, you know, basically he's playing for a job. He's been a third-string quarterback for 3 years, thinking he's going to get cut every week. And then last week, the big opportunity.
1st and 10 from the 47. The Kingdome crowd trying to make some noise. Broussard on the carry across midfield. In talking to Rusty Tillman yesterday, the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, they're very worried about number 33 for the Bengals, Steve Broussard. They think he's a fine running back.
Well, he does certain things. There's Rusty with the plays in his hand. But Broussard, number 33, does certain things well. This is not one of them, although he can certainly run that play. But the draws and the screens, that's where they think he really excels.
2nd and 5 from the 48. Pitch out to Broussard again. And he is stopped immediately. Sam Adams, the top draft choice for the Seattle Seahawks out of Texas A&M. The rookie, 6'3", 285 pounds, just 21 years old, and boy, Rusty Tillman, the defensive coordinator, trying to kick him in the butt.
He said he needs to lose a little weight, start playing. And he's done some good things, so they're going to move him. There's Rusty. They're going to move him around a little bit. You see him at defensive end and inside at defensive tackle.
3rd and 4 for Blake and the Bengals. Back to pass. He's got some time. Now he's forced out of the pocket, looking for some room, and bumped out of bounds.
Illegally. Bumped illegally, and that's a big bump. There's a first down for you.
Bob Spitolski knocked him out of bounds, and Blake just bounces right back up. He's talking.
He's talking a little trash. Look at his teammates popping him on the head, saying, way to go, baby. All right, now he's out of bounds.
Boom.
Yeah, there's no question about that call.
And the flag's thrown immediately. Boy, he took a hit. But Jeff Blake telling us yesterday that, you know, when he's on the field, he doesn't consider this a job. When he's off the field, yes, he's out there for his wife and his family, and he's trying to make a living. But when he's on the field, he says, I'm just trying to have fun. Last week, he drew Leon Lett offsides on a hard count, and Leon Lett was surprised because Jeff Blake was laughing. Just has a good time. Broussard on the carry, a couple of yards for the Bengals as they continue to march downfield. Terry Wooden on the stop.
Well, one little development as I see Jeff Blake getting his team together. He's got a slight limp after he handed that ball off, so we'll track that for you, see whether or not the little bump out of bounds was more than a bump.
The backup quarterbacks, Eric Wilhelm and Todd Philcox. David Klingler is back in Cincinnati. He did not make the trip. 2nd and 7 from the 32-yard line. That's Fenner holding onto the ball, getting across the 25-yard line. And a first down for the Bengals. Eugene Robinson on the stop.
Well, that was a real good job by the Cincinnati offensive line. That's Moyer and Kozerski, Eric Moore, all those guys right up front really opened a nice little crease that time. And a real big quick hit for Fenner.
1st and 10 from the 24 for the Bengals. Jeff Blake once again marching the Bengals downfield. This team, even though they lost last week to the world champion Cowboys, sky high coming into this game. Scott holds onto the ball, trying to run with it before he had it. Got it back and crosses the 20-yard line before Rod Stevens stops him.
Well, they're lucky that time. A little better break by the cornerback, and there's no telling what could have happened. Darnay Scott has been the big play receiver throughout the year, but especially the last 2 weeks, along with Blake. Those guys played on the scout team together, with Blake being the number 3 quarterback and Darnay being a rookie. So that's where they got their timing together, was on the scout team.
He's on pace for a 1,000-yard receiving season. And Blake, incomplete pass. Robert Blackman on the play. Tony McGee, the intended receiver. Nice rollout, though, by Jeff Blake.
Good play calling. They really had him full that time. Blake had a blocker out in front of him. He could have opted to run the ball and gotten, I believe, down to about the 10-yard line, but felt like he could make the throw.
Brings up 3rd and 4. Rusty Tillman.
And Dave Brown, a great DB here at Seattle for years.
Tillman, 16 consecutive seasons with the Seahawks. 3rd and 4. Blake looking for his tight end, McGee. An incomplete pass, and so that will bring up a 4th down situation, and Doug Pelfrey onto the field for the Bengals to try to kick the field goal.
So as you see Blake jogging off the field, there's no quarterback controversy in Cincinnati right now. But if Blake was to have another good game today, possibly there could be one. Now, Klingler's one of my favorite quarterbacks. Young guy with a lot to learn, but big talent and a big arm. But good game by Blake, and there could be some questions.
The kick is up, and it is good. Doug Pelfrey has cut the deficit to just 2 points, and we're coming back to Seattle. Doug Pelfrey to kick off for the Bengals. After kicking a field goal, it's 7-5, a baseball score. Played baseball in a long time here at the Kingdom. That's John Vaughn from the University of Michigan, former Patriot, getting to the 30-yard line. Ricardo McDonald on the stop, and Rick Meyer back onto the field with his Seahawks offense. Vikings beat New Orleans today, Beasley, 21-20. 5 seconds to go in the game. Warren Moon to Quadre Ishmael for the touchdown.
5 seconds to go. That was a great. Well, we'll see what Rick Meyer can do with this drive. I thought that this offense, this Seattle offense, was a little predictable. But they really mixed that first drive up, got the ball to some new people. See what they do this time.
Meyer, one back set. That's Chris Warren. And the give to him. Heads to the outside. Gets to about the 34-yard line. Rick Meyer not having a spectacular year, but he's not making too many mistakes. And that's what they're looking for a second-year quarterback. 2nd down and 5. That's the end of the first quarter. The Seahawks will get the ball when we come back. Second down and 5 for Rick Meyer and the Seahawks. And Beasley, he likes 3 guys, Blades, Martin, and Warren.
That's right. 111 catches between those guys, 28 shared among the other players.
That intended for Kelvin Martin, who has 35 receptions this year, incomplete.
You know, this is evidence of my contention that this offense is a little bit predictable going to those 3 guys. Now, on the last drive, the touchdown drive, we saw him going to the tight end. Number 87, Paul Green. It kind of broke the mold. And when you're a Cincinnati defense and you're preparing for the Seattle offense, you didn't have that man right there in your plans. As a result, he got loose and got him to the 1-inch line, and then they scored. Shotgun
formation for the Seahawks. 3rd down and 5 from the 35. Meyer, it's complete to Brian Blades, who leads the AFC in 3rd down receptions. And another 1st down for Blades and the Seahawks.
The impressive thing about Blades is that everybody knows he's going to get the ball. They know they're going to try to feature him in the offense. Look how many Cincinnati Bengal helmets are around the guy when he catches the ball, but he still manages to get open, finds the soft spots in the zones. He's got the courage to catch it, even though he knows he's about to get pounded.
1st and 10 from the 45. Tracy Johnson was in motion. Chris Warren gets the carry for a gain of about 2. Take a look at the arithmetic from the first quarter.
Passing yards, the big difference for those Bengals. They've got more, but they don't have that score. And the 1 turnover by the Bengals was really the big difference in this game. They were about to score on their opening drive and had a problem.
Eric Renner fumbled the ball at the 5-yard line. The Cincinnati defense able to sack Rick Meyer in the end zone for a safety. They give to Warren again. Another couple of yards. Tim Crumry, the veteran, on the stop. You know, we were asking Larry Peccatello, the defensive coordinator of the Bengals, yesterday about the Seattle offense. And Beasley, you pointed out that it is predictable, so how come you can't stop it? And he said when you got guys like Warren and you got guys like Blades, they're real pros, and they can get it done against any defense.
No matter what you throw at them. And Cincinnati not playing bad defense on the last 2 plays, but still we saw Blades able to make a catch.
Another 3rd and long situation. for number 89, Brian Blades. Meyer back to pass. And it is intercepted. Corey Sawyer with an interception a week ago. And now there is a conversation between the officials, and one official has signaled interception, the other has said incomplete. And it is an incomplete pass. Ron Bloom on the call, and Steve Tovar says, hey, look up to the replay screen and see if it was indeed an interception.
Well, here's a good way to find out. Corey Sawyer breaking forward. Oh, what a call. Good call. You see it squirt out of his hands just at the last second and roll to the ground. See it squirting and bouncing on the ground right there. So the official to the sideline side with a great job making the right call. This crew led by Ron Blum.
First punt today for Rick Tootin, an outstanding punter, one of the best in the National Football League. In fact, his net average is second in the NFL. Corey Sawyer calling for a fair catch at the 15-yard line, and the Bengals will work from there. It's 7-5, Seattle.
There, and you see what they've done lately. First 5 games, 2 fumbles, 3 interceptions. Last 3 games, 7 fumbles, 2 interceptions. So that's been a real problem for Tom Flores and his team. Almost a problem when Corey Sawyer broke up. And there you see the #1 draft choice from a couple of years ago, Big John Copeland, coming back on crutches after hurting his right ankle earlier in this football game. So he's having conversations, but he's obviously not in pain.
He will not return to this game, but the x-rays were negative, and that's good news for the Bengals. Blake. He's got a man. That's Tim McGee, one of 3 wide receivers the Bengals brought with them. Carlton Gray on the stop. Bengals only have 3 wide receivers on the sidelines today.
The Cincinnati coaches said that this kid Blake has good anticipation. Watch the ball coming into a spot. The ball had to be released at about the point where McGee was making his break. It takes confidence to throw the ball on timing like that.
17-yard gain, 1st and 10 again for Jeff Blake and the Bengals. The give to Green. He's across the 35-yard line. Let's go to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Mike, at Minnesota, Warren Moon, terrific day, particularly here, capping an 84-yard drive with an 11-yard touchdown pass to Quadri Ismail. 5 seconds to play, 21-20. Minnesota edges the Saints to go to 7-2 on the year, Mike.
Thanks, Greg. We're back in Seattle. 2nd and 5 for the Bengals. Trailing by a couple. Derek Fenner pounding his way, and then hit very light by Eugene Robinson. No flags on the play. Knocked Fenner's helmet right off.
Well, that's what you call headhunting. Eugene Robinson is a double-digit veteran, 10 years in the National Football League. After 10 years, you can learn to time stuff up like this. Now watch this. Pow! Oh man, even the folks in the building, I don't know if you can hear them, are going, ooh.
They just saw it on the
Boy.
replay board here at the Kingdome.
Eugene's a tough guy, and so is Derek. I'm only laughing because he's okay, mothers.
Yes, his head is still on his shoulders. Let's listen to this play again. Just listen to it.
Ah, the beautiful sound of Rydell meeting bike. Oh, the equipment makers sounding off like that is a beautiful thing, right, coaches?
Bengals 0 for 2 on 3rd down, and I'm not sure Blake made it. It was 3rd and just a couple of inches. And yes, immediately Ron Blum says, what are you talking about, Mike? He made it. 1st down for Cincinnati. Dave Shula in his 3rd season as the Bengals head coach.
You know, we were telling Dave in our meeting that his players sounded really pumped up about this game. And he said he's going to be like a surfer. He's just going to ride the wave. If they're pumped, he's just going to sit on top of that wave and ride into this building. So let's see how his boys do, how they fare today.
He's still the NFL's youngest head coach. Joined the Bengals in '91 as a receivers coach under Sam White. 1st and 10. Play action. Blake. McGee threw it over his head. Tonight, it's the most anticipated event of the television season. Get ready for the adventure of a lifetime on the special 2-hour series premiere of Earth 2. Tonight, following the game at 7 Eastern and Pacific, 6 Central, here on NBC.
And I will be there. I tell you, I can't wait to see that one's all. I was a big Star Trek fan. This futuristic stuff, I love this stuff.
And after Earth 2, Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country. So it's a big night for Beasley.
Beautiful.
That's Broussard on 2nd down. Terry Wooden, the leading tackler on the Seahawk defense, stopped him.
Now Broussard looks like a little guy, but let me tell you something. That kid is pumped. I mean, he's got bones on his forearms, those big hanging muscles.
And he's from this area. Went to Washington State University, his 5th year. 3rd and 8. Rusty Tillman hoping for a big play from his Seahawks defense. They haven't had many lately. Seattle has lost 4 in a row. Blake has some time. Pass is complete. Eugene Robinson on the stop. Tony McGee with the catch, but well short of the 1st down. And so Jeff Blake will come off the field. He's done a fine job in the early going here in Seattle, but his Bengals have yet to get in the end zone. And so Lee Johnson will come on to punt the ball. This is his first punt so far. Kelvin Martin back to return the ball for the Seahawks. High booming kick. Martin just lets it go, and the Bengals will down it inside the 5-yard line. Fernandez Vinson stops the ball inside the 5-yard line, and that's where the Seahawks will work from.
To test drive the exciting Acura Integra by Domino's Pizza. Call now and ask for our football special. It's gotta be Domino's. By AT&T, we help put your world within reach. And by the American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
Some fans still not sure about the roof here at the Kingdome. They're here, but with hard hats. So Seattle will start the ball at the 6-yard line. 1st and 10, 9 minutes to go, first half. 7-5 Seahawks lead. They give to Warren. Who else? He may have picked up a couple on the play. Louis Oliver, the free agent. Former Miami Dolphin made the stop. Oliver said he's never been on a losing team ever in his life, not even in Pee-wee football. And he says it's been a very difficult year in Cincinnati.
He's having a hard time with all of this.
But the Bengals were sky high in talking to them yesterday, coming off that great effort against the Cowboys, even though they didn't beat the world champions. They nearly upset them. Chris Warren across the 10-yard line. Let's go for an update to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Mike, it's all over in Houston. Gary Anderson, his 4th field goal of the day from 40 yards out with 4:20 to play in the overtime. First game in the league this season without a touchdown by either side. Steelers over the Oilers, 12-9. Mike?
Only one touchdown in this game, scored by the Seattle Seahawks. Cincinnati has a field goal and a safety, and the Seahawks leading at 7-5. 3rd and 3. 13-yard line for the Seahawks. Quick throw to Warren. That's a first down. Steve Tovar knocked him out of bounds.
Well, there's a unique little play. You might as well quick pitch it in my mind under the brainchild. That play, the brainchild of the man you just saw there, Larry Kennan, the offensive coordinator. Quickly catch it, quickly pitch it over, and see if you can get Warren on the corner. I mean, yes, Chris Warren on the corner. Almost made it. Enough for the first down, though.
Yeah. He wanted one thing and one thing only, the first down. He got it, so it's 1st and 10 from the 16. Paul Green in motion for the Seahawks. Play action. Meyer flushed out of the pocket. And he just throws the ball away.
Now, the reason that is not intentional grounding, in case anyone's screaming back in Cincinnati, is once the quarterback is outside of the pocket and running, that one of the new rules is to protect the quarterback, he's allowed to intentionally ground the football.
Rick Meyer out of Notre Dame. Really, his stats, Beasley, don't overwhelm you. But we were talking to the coaches yesterday, and they're really happy with his progress in just his second season in the National Football League. 2nd down and 10. Again, it's Green in motion, 2-back set. Number 42 with the carry. He gets a couple of more yards. Ty Parton, the second-year man out of Arizona, with the stop.
Now, the reason that Cincinnati is doing much better corralling Warren is they are committing more people to the line of scrimmage. There's Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson starting to really show a few dividends. 19 tackles, 1 sack on the season, but he plugs up a lot of holes, and that time he plugged up the hole that Warren chose, or the play calling designed for the team to run through. And Big Daddy was there.
They're 2 for 4 on 3rd down. Meyer to Blades across the 40 to the 45-yard line. Darrell Williams finally made the tackle.
I tell you, it's phenomenal. The Seattle offense says, we are going to throw the ball to Blades. We're going to throw it to 89. You try to stop us if you can. This is a perfect football pass. Can you believe that? Between 3 people, just absolutely beautiful throw by Rick Meyer.
That play covered 27 yards. It is really amazing. They know, the Cincinnati defense knows where the ball's going, and Blades is still able to get open.
They're screaming it out.
Meyer to Martin. That's complete for about a 6-yard gain. Mike Brim on the stop for Cincinnati.
Rick's in a rhythm right now, and Cincinnati's got to do something to break it. This kid can really start to hurt you. Throwing it, handing it to Warren, and then running by himself with his ability to run. It's kind of in that groove, that vibe that Eugene Robinson was talking to us about in our meeting.
2nd down and 4 for the Seahawks. They give to the big fullback Smith. Crunches for about a 2-yard gain. Ricardo McDonald on the stop. Seahawks got the ball from the opening kickoff and marched right downfield, reeling off some good runs by Chris Warren, and then a big pass to Paul Green. And once again, they're moving the ball here in the 2nd quarter. Tom Flores won 2 Super Bowls as a head coach when he was with the Raiders. In his 3rd season as the head coach of the Seahawks. Meyer, play action. Tried to hit Blades, and Martin almost came up with it. He threw it behind Blades, and it was a tough pass to catch, but Blades can usually make spectacular catches like that.
That's really good defense that time. Number 29, Lewis Oliver, comes up. He recognizes the play, see him run back to get in front of Blades just at the last second. Now, meanwhile, remember that Meyer, a right-handed quarterback, was rolling to his left and trying to get the pass off, so he couldn't hit that small spot that Oliver left available.
Rick Tootin on for his 2nd punt of the game. Hit a 36-yarder in his 1st attempt. This one high, and Corey Sawyer calling for it at the 14-yard line. And so, Jeff Blake back onto the field with the Bengals when we come back.
The Honda factory in Ohio.
Trail by 2. A baseball score, it's 7-5 Seattle.
Most of the Bengal running has been really straight up the middle, right at Cortez Kennedy and Joe Nash. They haven't had a lot of success right up there. You got some big boys plugging the hole.
2 tight end formation for the Bengals. Blake drops back. Comes to Troy Sadowski. And he's hit out of bounds at the 20-yard line, setting up another passing situation on 3rd down.
Sadowski is out of Georgia. Good receiving tight end. 6'5", 250.
In his 6th year in the National Football League. 3rd and 5 now for the Bengals. Jeff Blake trying to get something going. 3:34 and the clock running.
Just changing the play.
This is when the Kingdom can make a difference. That's a first down to Darnay Scott. Orlando Waters hit him out of bounds.
Good quick throw by Blake. Good catch by Darnay Scott. He's the young budding star on his football team. At the end of this play, watch him deal out a little punishment to number 31, Orlando Waters, needing that shoulder down.
Scott out of San Diego State, the teammate of another great rookie. Some guy named Frank.
Yeah, something to do with law enforcement. Marshall.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say sheriff. 1st and 10 from the 28 again. Blake to pass. He's got a hole, and so he'll slide into the 35-yard line. Tom Flores would have liked that.
Now, Tom Flores would have liked that.
That's what he wants Rick Meyer to do.
That's right.
Slide into second base.
Now, a point. The last time that Blake ran the ball, he needed the first down. They had a chance for the first down, so he ran head first. This time, he's trying to make it 2nd and 4 or 5. A pretty good choice that time to slide.
And so it is 2nd and 4. Blake, 3 rushes for 20 yards. Drops to throw, flushed out of the pocket. He'll run again, and he slides nearly to the first down marker before Terry Wooden hits him.
Okay, there goes my theory, because according to my theory, he should have kept his head up that time and ran for it.
And so Jeff Blake will come off the field to talk it over with Dave Shula as we come up to the 2-minute warning here in Seattle with the Seahawks leading. Cortez Kennedy, the Seattle Seahawks right tackle, only 1 sack this year, and he's getting some negative press probably for the first time here in Seattle.
He said he's glad to be back in their house, back here in the Kingdom.
Kennedy with just 1 tackle today. Broussard dropped it. That is an incomplete pass. Let's go back to New York and Grant Gumbel for an update.
All right, Mike, at the Meadowlands, Thurman Thomas from 2 yards out gets the Bills on the board for a 7-3 Buffalo lead. And Jim Kelly has just thrown a touchdown pass, so the Bills have extended their lead over the Jets now in the 2nd quarter, Mike.
And here, 1:56 to go in the 2nd quarter in Seattle. Seahawks leading the Bengals by a couple. 2nd and 10 for Jeff Blake and the Bengals. Broussard catches this one, gets across the 40-yard line. Ron Stevens stops him at the 42. And the Bengals in their hurry-up offense.
Basically, Blake is saying, check with me, check with me. Everybody's looking at him, checking with him. Seattle quickly gets some pass defense onto the field.
Bengals have their full complement of 3 timeouts. Good defense there by Raphael Robinson, knocking the ball out of the hands of Derek Fenner. And so that will bring on the punting crew, Lee Johnson. And the Bengals will punt it away with 1:30 to go in the first half.
Well, we got a pretty good football game going here. A couple of competitive teams. The Bengals surviving a major accident early to stay in this game.
High booming punt again. Kelvin Martin calling for the fair catch. And the Seahawks will get the ball. There are flags on the field off the punt.
Looks like we got an illegal coverage guy downfield. On behalf of those Bengals, looks like they're going to go back and kick it again.
53 offense, illegally downfield, 5 yards from the previous spot. Repeat 4th down.
That's the great...
That was Santos Stevens.
Santos Stevens. I believe he's the snapper for this team, if I'm not mistaken.
So Lee Johnson will punt it again. That was a 45-yard punt, and the Seahawks will take their chances. 4th down and 11. 1:24 to go. Kelvin Martin awaiting the punt for the Seattle Seahawks. And now Eugene Robinson drops back for Seattle as well. And this is actually a better kick. Sending Martin back. Will try to head to the sidelines, and now he's stopped there at the 15-yard line, so they should have declined that penalty. Coming up, it's the NFL Halftime Report with Greg Gumbel and Mike Ditka, Joe Gibbs as well. They'll bring you up to date with all the scores and highlights from around the league. That's coming up at the half. Rick Meyer has 1 minute and 13 seconds and 3 timeouts to try to lead the Seahawks to another score.
Well, this should be interesting. They will either open up that offense a little bit and try to hit some balls down the field, some vertical efforts toward the sideline so that the receivers can get out of bounds or out of the backfield so that somebody like Chris Warren can catch it and then dart out of bounds to save time.
1st and 10 from the 17-yard line. Meyer out of the shotgun. He's got Chris Warren. He'll get out of bounds at the 22. Steve Tovar directed him out.
Okay, that was plan B, to go to Warren, and then he step out of bounds. Now, on the other side of the ball, Cincinnati will play that classic prevent defense until this team gets, about the 45-yard line, and then they'll go to a more aggressive defense, something like a, if not a man-for-man, they'll throw a blitz at them, something to put a little pressure, but not now.
First play of the drive only took 7 seconds. A 6-yard gain. 2nd and 4. Meyer again from the shotgun and through the arms of Brian Blades. Incomplete pass. Louis Oliver and Rod Jones defensively for the Bengals on the play.
The Bengals are offering Rick Meyer a very soft zone right now. Deep free safety. Darrell Williams and Louis Oliver back deep. They'll allow them to play throw and catch. What you do in the prevent defense is you want Seattle to make its own mistakes, like that last play, the incomplete pass.
Rick Meyer and the Seahawks 3 for 6 on 3rd downs. 3rd and 4 from the 23. 1:05 to go in the first half. A bad snap. Meyer handled it and then threw it incomplete to Chris Warren, and they hear some boos here at the Kingdom.
Well, that's what I was talking about. You hope that they make their own mistakes. One was an incomplete pass. Here you got a tough snap for the quarterback to handle. And then what that does is it takes his eye off the defense where he's getting his pre-snap and his drop-back reads to see what they are doing. Obviously, he's a little upset with that.
And this could set up some pretty good field position for the Cincinnati Bengals. Under a minute to play, Corey Sawyer, the leading punt returner in the AFC. And what a great punt return there. He's flipped up over the 45-yard line. Rick Tootin actually made the stop. The punter made the stop for the Seahawks. But the Bengals will work from Seahawk territory.
And see, how big is that? That's where a kid like Sawyer really comes in and plays big. Gives his team an opportunity to go for the field goal and the lead here in the final seconds. That's just a good decision. And then, like he told us, Mike, when he sees the opening, I don't care where it is, he hits it. You saw the little spurt there when he reached the sideline, exploding, and Tootin had to bring him down. Great opportunity for Cincinnati to take the lead.
50 seconds to go. 1st and 10 from the 43 for Jeff Blake and the Bengals. Flags all over the field. Bob Spitulski was across the line.
False start prior to the snap, 60 offense, 5 yards, repeat first down.
While they're resetting, let me talk about Corey Sawyer a little bit. This guy, you just saw the great punt return, but he does a lot for this team, and he's a really interesting guy. When he was in high school, he lost his father, and what he did was he would wear a black wristband around his ankle in honor of his father. Then when he was in college, he wore something in honor of his little girl, Mercedes. So he plays for someone else. It's his motivating factor.
1st and 15, Blank has a man, Tim McGee, and that's near the first down marker. And the Bengals call a timeout. They're moving the ball, and we're coming right back.
What do you need to be the best?
Stop the Bengals with 42 seconds left to go in the first half. 2nd and 9. Broussard with the carry. Gets to the outside, across the 35-yard line to about the 33 before Robert Blackman tied him up. First time the Bengals have had an outside run today.
Well, that's the change of pace that Broussard offers. He's got good speed, good balance, and he's also a tough guy. I mean, he'll put that head down like we just saw at the end of that run.
Next weekend, NBC's Golf Tour returns with the World Cup of Golf from Puerto Rico's Dorado Beach Resort. Americans Fred Couples and Davis Love III look for an unprecedented 3rd consecutive victory against a strong field of 31 other two-man teams from around the world. That's the World Cup of Golf next Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And for Sunday's broadcast time, please check your local listings.
And man, if I wrapped that club around my back like that, they'd have to come get me. I'd be in traction.
Dave Shula.
Pacey.
8-32 overall as the Bengals head coach. We mentioned earlier his first victory was in his first game, his NFL debut as a head coach right here in Seattle. 1st and 10 from the 32 for Blake and the Bengals. Play action. Blake looking long for Darnay Scott. Just overthrows Scott. Robert Blackman on the coverage.
Well, that's one I bet he'd like to have back. What he'd like to do is put a little air under that ball. When you have a kid like Darnay Scott with his great speed, you throw it up high and soft and deep. And I'm telling you, this Scott kid is Forrest Gump fast. He'll go get it. You throw it up high and soft enough. I bet he'd like to have that one back. He threw it on a rope. Watch this. So he recognized it at the last second and just exploded it out there on too much of a string.
Blake again drops back, looking for Broussard. He gets out of bounds. David Brandon directed him that way. 25 seconds to go in the first half.
Well, this can be one of the early defining moments in Blake's career. You know, you got, he started out with a little under a minute with a great opportunity to drive his offense down in at least field goal range to get the lead. And what an emotional lift that would be for this offensive football team if they could accomplish this. See what the young quarterback can do. Critical moment.
3rd down and 8. Blake got some time. That's Fenner. He's tripped up well short of the first down. Tony Brown on the stop. And the Bengals still have not called a timeout.
Well, I'll tell you, Fenner asked for the timeout, but they didn't give it to him. And Blake jumps in front and says, wait a minute, I'm going to bleed it down, and then I'll call it. And Blake called it.
Jeff Blake calls the timeout. They just wanted to give Doug Pelfrey a chance for the field goal. And Jeff Blake, a heck of a first half, Beasley.
I think he's done a great job. You know, the most important thing that Jeff Blake has not done is made any major mistakes. He hasn't thrown any interceptions. He hasn't fumbled the ball, you know, as a result of running the ball. He's got some good rushes to keep his offense involved in the football game. I think all in all, I'd give him I'd say about a B for that first half performance. You know, no great throws or great runs, but solid performances.
But you got to give him an A for poise. I mean,
no question. I give him an A for poise, but you know, I'm not going to put him in Canton or put him with Kenny Anderson or anything after this first half of play.
44-yard field goal attempt by Pelfrey is up, and it is good. And so, heading to the locker room, the Cincinnati Bengals have the lead 8-7. Let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York. We'll be back. In the second half of action, Steve Broussard takes the ball up over the 20-yard line. Glad you're with us here in Seattle. Mike Bush along with Beasley Reese. And even though the Bengals only have a 1-point lead, Beasley, they've really dominated today.
Really, in almost every category, I think they have shown a lot of poise. They had the first major accident, that big fumble, but they hung in there. They didn't fall apart. They've done a really good job.
And the man showing the most poise is Jeff Blake, making only his second NFL start.
I think Jeff has done a super job. He's made good decisions. The most important thing he has not done, he hasn't put his team in a bad position. And look at the stats here. Somebody get my abacus. Can this be? The Bengals are dominating every category. More first downs, better rushing, better passing, total. Only the one turnover. But look at the time of possession. Finally, a Cincinnati offense is keeping the ball, controlling the game. That's exactly what they said they wanted to do coming into this contest.
There was an injured player on the kickoff, Jay Bellamy.
A simple little gesture. You know, he's not a medical guy, but, you know, it's a show of concern.
And so Cincinnati with the lead and the football as we begin the second half here at the Kingdome. Not a lot of scoring so far, but it's been a pretty good football game. We're glad you're with us for the second half of action. First game for the Seahawks at the Kingdome. Green with the carry. Across the 25-yard line before Cortez Kennedy tackles him.
You know, Harold Green is a guy who always seems to run really hard, but he really hasn't had a lot of production this year. He hasn't really lived up to the $1.1 million contract that he's earning. If I was Mr. Green, I would try to figure out a way. I know they've had a lot of shuffling in the offensive line, a lot of changes. I would figure out a way to make some yardage, or there's going to be a problem.
Two tight end formation for Seattle. The give to Fenner. Flags on the play. Fenner crossed the 30-yard line, but the whistles were blowing before he got that far.
False start, 87 offense prior to the snap. 5 yards, repeat second down.
That's the referee, Ron Blum.
On your right side, you see the flinch there by Troy Sadowski. A little eager to move to get into his blocking pattern.
So that'll set up 2nd and 11.
And it'll bring Troy to the sideline.
Cincinnati looking for their first victory of the season. They played in a lot of close games. Nearly upset the Cowboys last week. This is Green across the 20. Tries to inch his way across the 25-yard line, and he does just that. Robert Blackman on the tackle.
Yeah, see, Green has had a tough season. You know, your $1 million running back makes that first guy miss. Now, that's all I'm going to say on the topic. I don't want to go to Cincinnati and get beat up by Harold Green, but I'm just, you know, if you're $1 million running back, you make this guy miss. That guy misses.
And in talking with Bruce Coslett, the offensive coordinator for the Bengals yesterday, he said the most disappointing factor on this Bengals team so far has been the running back situation. Harold Green actually split out as an end. Blake to pass. McGee. That's Tony McGee, the tight end, for a first down for the Bengals. Waters and Brown stop him for the Seahawks. And again, a lot of poise in the pocket by Jeff Blake.
Well, it's one of the oldest plays in the book. You drag your tight end from the other side of the football field, so the onside defensive guys, it's like a sneak attack. They never see him coming. He's coming underneath the zone, makes the catch, and gets the first down. Good play calling.
12:35 to go in the third quarter. An 11-yard gain to McGee. Two tight ends set again for the Bengals. Blake again to his tight end. Troy Sadowski this time. Pick up of about 5 yards on the play. Raphael Robinson hit him.
See, I think this is very smart offensive game planning by Cincinnati. When you throw into the tight end, generally it's a short throw. It's in the middle of the field, so geometrically you have a shorter distance to carry. You know, you can get some high passing percentages going and get a young quarterback like Blake very comfortable.
Once again, the two tight ends set for the Bengals. 2nd and 7. Fenner right up the middle. And he picks up about 3 yards before Cortez Kennedy drags him down.
That's probably a expected play by Seattle because they blitz one of their little cornerbacks. See 21 Robinson blitzing in, and you see Cortez trying to hold his ground. Does a pretty good job of grabbing Fenner as he comes through. The Seattle defensive coaching staff obviously expecting the run, or they would not have send 8 men up to the line like that. Kennedy does a good job plugging up the hole.
He can plug up a hole.
He can
293 pounds. One of the best in the business. Blake with a man in his face, complete to Broussard across midfield. Once again, Jeff Blake just hanging in there, even though he was going to get hit.
Well, that was impressive. He knows that he's going to get smacked. See 67 right there in his face. Antonio Edwards. Still Blake stands in, delivers, takes one on the chin for the team, puts the ball right on the right spot to that man, Broussard.
1st and 10 from the 48. Broussard has a hole. May have picked up a couple before David Brandon plugged it up.
Well, Rusty Tillman is the defensive coordinator for Seattle, and he's not sitting back allowing Cincinnati to move this ball. He has blitzed. There he is calling the plays right there. He's got enough plays on his wrist there. Looks like he's got some broken wrists. He's got so many plays written down. But he has blitzed a corner or a linebacker the last 3 plays trying to get a good play on this running game.
Yeah, Dave Shula, the Bengals coach, said that Seattle will show you a lot of different sets defensively, and so the offense for the Bengals will show Seattle some different sets. That time, Broussard just takes it up the gut before Antonio Edwards drags him down.
Another thing that we're seeing here is an offensive line for the Bengals that is finally moving back to their original positions. I mean, when Moore, number 60, was out, they had to move people over, shuffle. They moved Kozerski over to play in Moore's spot. They moved Moyer over to replace Cadigan and Sargent here and this and that. Now these guys are back in their home spots for the most part.
3rd down and 3. Blake to give to Fenner near the 1st down, but I don't think he got there.
You know, when you call that play, it's normally there's Bruce Coslett with the headphones on in the middle of that, the middle gentleman there.
Next to him is Richard Williamson, the former Buccaneers head coach.
Right, I believe he's a wide receiver coach here, but Coslett probably called that because it's a 2-down situation, meaning that if we don't get it on 3rd, we're going to go for it on 4th. If it's 3rd and 3 and they don't pass it, generally they feel like it's a 2-down situation, and how clairvoyant is the B-man? That's exactly what they're doing.
The Kingdome crowd back into the game. Listen to them. Complete. Tony McGee, 1st down Cincinnati.
Oh, gutsy. Gutsy call, gutsy throw. Look at them. They're giving each other high five. Okay, Blake's trying to get everybody in the huddle right quick, but what a play. You know the defense is expecting you on 4th and 1. Really don't know what you're going to do on 4th and 1 or 2. That's what makes the down so difficult, and just good pattern, good throw, and really gutsy call by Cincinnati.
It was 4th and 1, a 16-yard gain for the Bengals. They're at the Seahawks' 23-yard line. Fenner, there was no hole. He made it himself, picks up a couple of yards.
A Cincinnati touchdown here really changes the complexion of this football game, because all of a sudden the Seattle players start saying, oh my God, we can't be the first ones to lose. We'll be on every highlight in the nation in a negative way if we lose to this team. They tighten up a little bit. You never can tell how a team's going to react to a situation like that.
Yeah, talking about the sky falling in another means. 2nd down and 8 from the 21-yard line. Blake the give to Fenner. Cuts left for Joe Nash. Is there for the tackle.
Mike, I can't say enough about this offensive line, because that's where the success is coming from. They have allowed Blake time to pass. They have allowed some running room up in there for Derek Fenner. And this is the most maligned segment of this football team. This is my 3rd Cincinnati game, and I've been dogging that offensive line. They probably got hits out for me.
Ken Moyer doing an excellent job on Cortez Kennedy today. 13th play of the drive. Blake looking for Harold Green. Incomplete. Tony Brown on the coverage.
Well, I would want Blake to take a look at the film and see how he threw that ball. It kind of threw it off of his back foot. It was more of a shot put than a toss. All game long he's been getting his feet set and making good passes. And he also alertly throws that one out of bounds once he saw that he couldn't reach his receiver, but still dangerous when you get in the habit of throwing off that back foot.
Doug Pelfrey, 2 for 2 today. Hit a 36-yarder and a 44-yarder. Here's another 36-yard attempt. It is up, and it is good. So the Bengals haven't gotten into the end zone yet, but they lead the Seahawks here in Seattle. Hawks 11-7. Terrence Warren for the Seahawks across the 40-yard line before he's tripped up there. Rick Meyer brings the Seahawks back out of the field, and we're coming right back.
I asked a simple question. Would Seattle fold? How would they react to being pressured by the only winless team in the NFL? Well, look at Terrence Warren. Gets caught up behind the wedge, bounces outside, and it's a wake-up call for Seattle's offense, a 32-yard return. We'll see what Rick Meyer could do with this.
Number 88, Terrence Warren, a two-time NCAA Division II champion in the 200-meter dash. Looked like a hurdler on that return. Seattle starting with their best field position of the game. Rick Meyer over the middle, nearly caught, but dropped by Kelvin Martin. That was not a great pass by Meyer.
Had him, but he couldn't get it there. Let's see if we can figure out why. Nice play fake. You see the linebackers backing up late.
May have been tipped there.
It might have been tipped coming out of the line of scrimmage. Maybe that explains it. But Martin was wide open that time.
Second down and 10 for Rick Meyer and the Seahawks. They trail 11-7 here at the Kingdome. On their first possession, Chris Warren with the carry. They marched right downfield and got the touchdown. And they haven't done anything since.
Cincinnati's done a much better job corralling Chris Warren. It's almost like it was culture shock in that first drive.
And you talked about this early in the game, that the Seattle offense is predictable. And I think Cincinnati has adjusted as the game has gone along.
They really have done a good job adjusting, and they have cut Chris Warren down from 4 or 5 yards to carry to about 3 now.
He's got 62 yards rushing today. That pass is complete. Guess who?
Yeah.
Brian Blades. And that is a first down for the Seahawks.
Well, when you start comparing anybody to the great Steve Largent, that's saying a lot. And a lot of coaches in our meetings the last couple of days did just that. They compared Blades to the great Steve Largent, and I see why. Possession, guts, a lot of courage and super hands.
First and 10 in Bengals territory from the 48-yard line. Meyer again. Pump fake. Looking long. Complete to Brian Blades. Knocked out of bounds inside the 10-yard line.
Well, it's a classic out and go. Look at the pump by Meyer. He fools everybody. Fools the quarterback. Watch the pattern. This is absolutely gorgeous. Beating Mike Brim like a drum. He jumps on the out route. Beautiful throw. Beautiful route. And look how Seattle has responded.
41-yard gain. Meyer trying to quiet down this Kingdome crowd. 4 receptions, 85 yards. Warren across the 5-yard line.
Warren is a big man. And we've seen helmets knocked off, mouthpieces flying off of people's teeth. See if you can catch Warren's mouthpiece coming out of this. Now this man's running hard. Look at that shot coming in there from the left side. That'll make you spit your mouthpiece out. Oh, man.
Lewis Oliver.
Oh, boy, he'll hit
on the stop. He's the headhunter on this defense for Cincinnati. Second down and 4. Warren stays in the game. Blades in motion. The pitch out to Warren. Trying to find some room on the outside. Not much there.
Well played.
James Francis making a fine play.
Oh, man. Now, there's a guy that'll hit you. If you remember, last week he hit Troy Aikman of the Cowboys, and it cost him $12,500. He told us in our meeting that he wasn't trying to hurt the guy. It's simply the way he came off of his block. He would never play football like that. And we had a nice conversation with him, and, you know, he seems like a nice guy.
His mom died when he was 8 years old, and Ron Francis is his brother, the former Cowboy. And he says that Ron is his idol. 3rd down and 4. Meyer in trouble. Looking for some room. Head first slide, and there's a flag on the play. Holding against Seattle.
Well, I knew it was holding because Keith Rucker, 340 pounds of football player, said it was holding. And if he says it's holding, it's holding.
Holding, 69 offense. Penalties declined, 4th down.
James Francis made the play.
He comes through on a blitz, flushing Meyer out of the pocket. For a while, it looked like Meyer had an opening, but good collapse by Darrell Williams, the free safety, to force Meyer to come in and take the slide, and that's a super job by Cincinnati. When you make a mistake like giving up a long bomb on an out and go, and you can hold a team to just a field goal, you've got to feel like you won in that situation.
23-yard field goal attempt by John Casey. And it is good. The Bengals still have the lead, but the Seahawks closing in. Tonight, NBC presents 2 action-packed premieres following the game at 7 Eastern and Pacific, 6 Central. It's the special 2-hour series premiere of the most anticipated new show of the year, Earth 2. Then William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy star in the greatest Star Trek movie of them all, the network television premiere of Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country. That's all tonight following the game at 7 Eastern and Pacific, 6 Central here on NBC.
And I'm not moving from the TV set. That's going to be great.
John Casey to kick it off. Steve Broussard fumbles the return and finally covers up. And now the ball knocked out of bounds. Cincinnati will keep the ball. Jeff Blake coming back onto the field when we come back.
You want to know how to lose football games? When you get yourself in contention, your defense saves you to just a field goal, a lack of concentration by Broussard. Now, Cincinnati is a team that simply hasn't learned how to win yet. You get a good, solid return after that play, and your team is still in that motion. Right now, they're behind the 8 ball. Jeff Blake and company will have to make some play.
1st and 10 from the 17-yard line. 2 minutes, 28 seconds to go, 3rd quarter. Blake, back to pass. Troy Sadowski. That is complete. Near the 1st down marker, a gain of about 8. Rod Stevens on the stop for Seattle.
That's good play calling coming after the little mistake on the with the fumbled or muffed kickoff, however you want to call it. Get the ball up in the air. I think Bruce Coslett is really mixing it up well with this offense. Good play calling here by Cincinnati.
That was indeed a 1st down. So it's 1st and 10 now from the 27-yard line. They give to Fenner. He picks up about 3 yards. Terry Wooden makes the tackle along with the veteran, number 72, Joe Nash. Fenner was a 10th round pick of Seattle back in 1989. Leading rusher on this Bengals team, 275 yards coming into this game. He's got a 3.6 rushing average. Rusty Tillman, the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, trying to find a way to stop this 2 tight end offense for Cincinnati. They haven't gotten into the end zone, but they've moved the ball. Complete to Darnay Scott, nearly scorched through. Another 1st down. Carlton Gray dragged him down.
Well, Blake is sharp he's right on the money. Darnay is very strong. Now look how quickly they're blitzing. You see 94 Stevens. That's a linebacker coming around. So Blake has to get rid of it quickly. Darnay Scott has to recognize that it's a blitz and run their blitz adjustment route, which is a route short enough and quick enough for Blake to get the ball out of his hand. That's good offense.
Scott, 2 receptions for 23 yards. That play covered 15. Half a minute to play, third quarter. Blake, play action. Again, it's Scott. Scorched three, and then gets to the 30-yard line. Eugene Robinson knocked him out of bounds. Jeff Blake and Darnay Scott hook up again.
Uh-oh. There's something happening in the Kingdom. This is too easy. Blake is threading the needle. Look at the blocking. The man's got all day, puts his entire body into the throw. Darnay Scott is not going to miss it. That's a confident, young, rookie wide receiver in contention for AFC Rookie of the Year and absolutely putting on a show in his own right.
In contention with his former San Diego State teammate, Marshall Faulk. And that's the end of the third quarter. The Bengals on the move, and they lead it 11-10. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the NFL is prohibited.
Along with producer John McGinnis, director Kelly Atkinson, Mike Bush and Beasley Reese with you, getting ready to start the fourth quarter at the Kingdome in Seattle. Cincinnati has never led this season going into the fourth quarter. They lead it 11-10 today. Flags all over the field. Beasley, they're in uncharted territory.
They have never led a football game.
Ball start prior to the snap, 60 offense, 5 yards, repeat first down.
Everybody here in the booth is looking at me. They've never led a football game in the fourth quarter. Best they've done has been tied with Dallas last week. So an interesting moment, interesting opportunity for Cincinnati. Shula and company riding the wave that Coach Dave Shula told us about. We were talking about his team sounding pumped up. He said he's going to jump on the wave and ride them right into the Kingdome. We'll see.
First and 15 from the 36. Darnay Scott in motion. Blake drops back. Harold Green. On the reception, he stepped out of bounds. Let's go to New York and Greg Gumbel for an NFL update.
All right, Mike, in Anaheim, the Rams have scored on the Broncos again. Chris Chandler to Flipper Anderson, 30 yards in the touchdown. Denver with just 2 field goals on the day. The Rams in charge, 24-6 late in the third. Mike?
And next week, for the Seattle Seahawks, Seattle takes on the Denver Broncos. Second down and 12 for Blake and the Bengals, looking for their first win in 1994. Blake. And he is sacked. Sam Adams, number 98, the rookie out of Texas A&M. Joe Nash also there on the stop.
Lined up out on the end here. Look at the game. 93 inside. Nash 72 with the flush. And in the corner of the screen, you might have noticed a large individual out covering. And that was Cortez Kennedy out grabbing a back to make sure that they didn't get the screen off.
Third and long. Third and 19. 40-yard line. And again pressure. Darnay Scott, the reception at the 30-yard line, well short of the first down. Bob Spitulski gave him some room and then tackled Scott.
If I go back to that last play for just 1 second, Blake could have tried to throw that ball and thrown an interception, taking his team out of field goal position. He held it, took the sack, comes up on the next play, gets a completion good enough to put his team back in position for the field goal. I think he's done a very good job today. Almost mistake-free football.
Doug Pelfrey, 48-yard field goal attempt. He's 4 for 5 from this distance this year. It is up, and it is good.
What, are you kidding?
Pelfrey has not missed today. That's officially a 47-yard field goal for Doug Pelfrey. And so the Bengals on the board once again, and Dave Shula loves it. Just over 13 minutes to go here at the Kingdome. Lee Johnson kicking off. Terrence Warren for the Seahawks. Tries to find a seam. Gets across the 30. to about the 32-yard line before the Bengals tie him up.
Doug Pelfrey has absolutely put on a show here today. He has been right down the money every time. Perfect swing, great concentration, great balance. 47 yards later, it's an additional 3 points. Look at the smile on his face. He's doing his
no
job.
problem, he says. A lot of poise for this Bengals
Better
team.
believe it. Look at this today. 36-44, 36-47 height.
Blades in motion. Seattle with the ball, 1st and 10 from the 33-yard line. Blades. The intended receiver incomplete. Rod Jones on the coverage, and Meyer was hit.
This is a timing route that is very difficult to hit. Watch Blades. He'll come up, act like he's going out, turn up quickly. The ball's got to be there right there. Boy, that's a timing. That's a tough pattern, tough route. Good coverage there by Jones.
You've got to give a lot of credit to this Cincinnati defense. Ty Parton was right on top of Meyer. And after Seattle rolled on their first possession, the Bengals have really been able to corral the Seattle offense. Meyer to Steve Smith near side, pushed out of bounds. Darrell Williams knocked him out.
That's the same pass that Smith missed earlier in this football game. That time he really looked it in and came very close to the first down. Good catch, good run, good pattern.
Number 31, Darrell Williams, 3rd-year player out of Miami.
He'll hit you.
The Bengals have really played some outstanding defense today. And Rick Meyer knows it. He's got to get something going with 12:30 to go in the ball game. All green in motion. Meyer again to Smith. Flags on the field. Williams again on the tackle. Depending on the penalty, that should be a 1st down for the Seahawks. And it will be offsides on Cincinnati.
Offside, 56 defense, 5 yards, 1st down.
Penalty on Ricardo McDonald.
On the right side, see 56, Ricardo. A little too quick off the mark. That Ricardo McDonald's a tough guy, though. He's from Paterson, New Jersey. You get out of Paterson, New Jersey, you're tough.
12 minutes to go in the ball game. And again, some movement on the Cincinnati line. Chris Warren on the carry, and Greg Gumbel will carry it from New York.
All right, Mike, at the Meadowlands, former Bengal Boomer Esiason. Watch him, 4 yards in the touchdown to Rob Moore, the 200th touchdown pass of his career, the 16th quarterback to do that, but they missed the extra point, and it's a 16-14 Jets lead. Back to you.
Thanks, Greg. Here it's the Bengals leading the Seahawks. You see the numbers, 14-10, 2nd and 7 from the 49-yard line. The end around to Blades, got nowhere to run. Now he does, breaks free. Across the 20, tackled at the 10-yard line, fumbled the ball, and then recovered himself. A 50-yard gain for Brian Blades. He tried to come on the end around. Beasley had nowhere to run and then found a gap.
You don't play it any better than that. Look at James Francis outside to stop him, but Blades finds a corner, a little seam straight up the middle. Rod Jones with a blocker right in his face, able to somehow come off the block and save the touchdown. That is unbelievable.
Blades covered up the fumble, and we're coming right back to Seattle. The Kingdome crowd loves what they just saw, the great escape by Brian Blades. 1st and 10 from the 11-yard line. Blades the man in motion. Meyer the give to Warren. Tries to find a hole, fumbles the ball. Recovered by Cincinnati. Mike Grimm on the coverage. And Chris Warren, who fumbled the ball twice last week against San Diego, but only 3 times all year, has just fumbled again in a crucial situation. for the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, I don't believe it. The fans here don't believe it. Chris Warren cannot believe it. This guy is not a fumbler. We talked to Tom Flores about it. You see, he kneed the ball himself. With his own knee, he kicked the ball out of his hands in his effort to gain more yards. That is unfortunate for Seattle, and what fortune for Cincinnati.
And so the Cincinnati Bengals, the team that's made the most mistakes in the National Football League this year, profit from a mistake by the Seattle Seahawks again. The carry by Fenner. Rod Stevens brings him down. And there's a look at Chris Warren, a tremendous running back. Got off to a great start this afternoon and just fumbled the ball away at the 11-yard line.
Well, he's got a lot to talk about there. Clarence Selman is the running back coach. Perhaps he was on the phone with him, getting a little encouragement. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Cincinnati try to stretch Seattle vertically after that big mistake. Sometimes catch a team a little down and go for the big one.
Too tight and offense again for Cincinnati. Fenner the carry. Trying to take some time off the clock. 10 minutes and ticking for the Bengals, looking for their first win in 1994, but there's plenty of time remaining for the Seahawks. Seattle 3-5 coming into this game. They feel if they can win this game, they can get back into the playoff hunt. There's a look at Louis Oliver. Hurt. And that long Brian Blades run, he is out of the game. He did walk off under his own power. Play complete. And now picked off. Robinson. Inside the 5-yard line. Raphael Robinson. It looked like he just took the ball away from Tony McGee.
Well, for Jeff Blake, this is career interception number 1. The ball is right on the money. You cannot blame the quarterback. I'm telling you, McGee had it right there, corralled and snuffed right into his palm. Here's a good look at it. Bounced right off of Tony McGee's chest. And he really, there's a possibility, I don't think anyone was touching him. I was about to say that he could be down. Robinson could have been called down right when he intercepted because his knee was down, but the offensive player was not touching him.
So Chris Warren is off the hook. Seattle will work 1st and 10 from the 20. Again, Meyer, play action. Looking for some room. And for a man, end zone, Kelvin Martin nearly came up with it. And there's a flag. Rod Jones called for pass interference, and he cannot believe it.
Yeah, but I can. It was a good call. He tackled him right around his ankles in desperation as the ball was being thrown. That's the most difficult position to be in as a defensive back. A scrambling quarterback. You don't know where he is, where the ball's coming from, or where your receiver's going. It's tough to cover anybody for that long.
There were 3 flags down on that play.
Pass interference in the end zone. 25 defense. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 56 defense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, that one hurt. Look at 25. Rod Jones up in the corner of your screen. You see him tackle Martin before the ball is there. It's an absolutely perfect call by the officials. And then the guy I was telling you about earlier, and you notice as my voice quiets a little bit when I talk about Ricardo McDonald because he's from Patterson, New Jersey.
He was called for unsportsmanlike conduct. Meyer wants this Kingdome crowd to settle down. Green in motion. Steve Smith the carry. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Tom Flores and his squad caught a break. Jeff Blake and his team caught a break also, a bad break. Pass was right in between the 8 and the 2 of the tight end McGee. Bounces out, Seattle intercepts and takes advantage.
John Casey on for the extra point to give Seattle a 3-point lead. It is up, and it is good. And so the Bengals have some work to do when we come back.
Jeff Blake, quarterback to tight end Tony McGee. Bounces off the 8 and the 2, picked off by Raphael Robinson. Seattle goes on to score.
Broussard will handle this one into the end zone for a touchback. And so the Bengals and Jeff Blake get the ball when we return. Back in Seattle, Jeff Blake trying to recover from this play, a great play by Robinson.
And then it led to this touchdown by Seattle. Nice stuff into the stomach of the fullback, Steve Smith, 6'1", 242 pounds.
So now the Bengals have often found a way to lose. Will try to find a way to win. That pass complete to Harold Green, Terry Wooden on the stop.
Jeff Blake has been very good with the intermediate passing game and actually with the deep vertical game. Remember the toss early in this football game to Carl Pickens down the sideline for quite the gain. Cincinnati would go on to fumble, though, before taking advantage of that play.
And the Robinson play will go down as an interception, but that was not Jeff Blake's fault. Blake to Pickens across the 40-yard line before Orlando Waters knocks him out of bounds.
The thing that Jeff Blake has, I'm telling you, that ball was released before the receiver even broke out on the out route. It takes confidence. The ball is gone now. The receiver hasn't even broke yet. So when the receiver turns out, the football is there. You cannot defend that. When that timing is right and you've read the right defense, it's complete.
Some pretty big numbers for Jeff Blake, just making his second NFL start. Broussard, he gets it across midfield. Let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York for an NFL update.
All right, Mike, in Cleveland, Mark Rippon in his first start at quarterback for the Browns. 1-yard touchdown pass to Leroy Horde. That breaks a 3-3 tie, and the Browns are leading the Patriots now. 10-3 in the fourth, Mike.
Thanks, Greg. The clock running here in the fourth quarter at the Kingdome in Seattle. Cincinnati. They've been leading most of this game. They trail 17-14. Good look at Terry Wooden, the great linebacker for Seattle. Broussard with the carry. And that's a first down for Cincinnati.
It's another super drive orchestrated, number one, by the good decisions by Jeff Blake. Good blocking by the offensive line, and this offensive line has been pounded all year long. Great play calling by the man setting down the white cup there in the dark sweater, Bruce Coslett, in the eyeglasses in the middle.
Coslett's the man who brought Jeff Blake to the Bengals. Blake was a backup with the New York Jets when Coslett was the head coach in New York. Blake, complete to Pickens. Across the 30-yard line, deep into Seahawk territory, and Wooden made the...
Well, I don't know what to say. You know, if I'm David Klingler sitting at home looking at this, I'm wondering what type of decision the coaching staff is going to make for next week. Klingler was a little bit upset, thought maybe he could have contributed a little bit this week, although he's still smarting a little bit. But watching this, I'd be wondering what are the coaches going to say about next week, regardless of the outcome.
Two tight end offense again for Cincinnati. Harold Green on the carry. May have picked up 1 yard. Cortez Kennedy there to plug the gap.
We haven't heard much from the Tez, but that's one of those positions, you know. It's not a spectacular, flashy position, but he's been plugging up his holes, and when they run it to Tez, he's been throwing that weight around and stopping.
One of the things that you notice, Beasley, with a team that's 0-8 is they wait for bad things to happen. But that's the difference with having Jeff Blake in there. Jeff Blake tries to make good things happen, and he's been able to do it so far. They don't seem to have lost their confidence offensively. Complete to Darnay Scott inside the 15-yard line. Robinson, Eugene Robinson on the stop.
Darnay Scott is a star. Now this is a great catch. This ball is a little bit high. It's the first pass that Blake has thrown that hasn't hit a man in between the numbers. Still, Darnay over the middle, exposes his rib cage to the world, reaches up and makes the catch. Look at the smile on his face. See, these guys are having a good time. This Blake's put on a show. Look at that. He's going to have a 300-yard passing day before it's over, and I'd put an asterisk by that one interception. That wasn't his fault.
He didn't like what he saw on that Seattle defense, and so Jeff Blake calls a timeout. The Bengals have yet to get into the end zone, and it would be a big boost if they could do that, but they are definitely in Doug Pelfrey's field goal range. The year is 2192. Planet Earth is dying, and mankind must colonize a new Earth, only to find out we're not alone. It's the special 2-hour series premiere of Earth 2. Tonight, that's following the game at 7 Eastern and Pacific, 6 Central here on NBC. For most of you, we'll be switching without interruption to Earth 2 as soon as this game is over, so don't stray once the final gun sounds here in the Kingdome to catch the premiere of Earth 2.
Now, Mike, who else is on that planet, the new planet? Tell us.
Rusty Tillman is going to be on that planet. He doesn't stop this Bengals offense. He may take the first space shuttle to Earth 2.
Oh, boy.
And the Kingdome crowd may just chase him there. 4 minutes, 45 seconds to go in the game. First and 10. 13-yard line for Jeff Blake and the Bengals. He's going to pass on first down. No flags on the play. Terry Wooden appeared to be all over Darnay Scott.
Jeff Blake made a simple request there. Why can't I get a call? I think he got mugged personally. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, please. Come on. Come on. Somebody help me. Come on. Investigation.
That's the first incomplete pass for Blake on this drive. 2nd and 10 from the 13. Blake floats one out. Pickens nearly caught it. Orlando Waters on the coverage.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Carl Pickens was a high jumper. He's got ups. That's what the kids say. I got a 15-year-old. He says, Dad, that guy's got ups. Well, this guy can get up. Look at that leap. He almost had that.
Waters making a nice play defensively, getting his hand in there. Carl Pickens had a good game this afternoon. Third-year man out of Tennessee. And so now, 3rd and 10. Blake and the Bengals 4 for 13 on 3rd down today. And Blake with the hard count.
This
draws a man off sides.
See, with the new rules, we'll see who they call this on.
Ball start prior to the snap, 77 offense, 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
Now, the new rule says that if the defense draws you offside, that it goes against the defense, which would be new, a departure from the past. But apparently Sargent did his own little jiggle before the snap.
Dave Shula just can't stand those mistakes. 3rd now and 15 from the 18-yard line. Bengals need a big play. Blake. He's got Broussard. And Broussard cuts inside the 10-yard line, but that's well short of the first down, and so Doug Pelfrey, who was not missed today, comes onto the field to try to tie the ball game.
And Broussard will limp away after that. That was a gutsy effort by Broussard to get his kicker a little bit closer.
Some pretty impressive numbers for Pelfrey today, 2nd-year man out of Kentucky.
This is probably a boring kick for him. What he's accomplished today.
It is up, and it is good. A 28-yard field goal. And Tom Flores and the Seahawks are tied with the Bengals with 4.5 minutes to go. Working on his ankle. The kick to Terrence Warren. And Warren is tripped up at the 23-yard line by Jeff Cothran. Tonight, NBC presents 2 action-packed premieres. Following the game at 7 Eastern and Pacific, 6 Central, it's the special 2-hour series premiere of the most anticipated new show of the year. You don't want to miss it, Earth 2. Then William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy star in the greatest Star Trek movie of them all, the network television premiere of Star Trek, The Undiscovered Country. That's all tonight, following the game at 7 Eastern and Pacific, 6 Central, here on NBC. Beasley just went to the scoreboard operator and asked if they could show Earth 2 on Kingdom Vision here.
I can stay right here and check it out.
4:19 to go, and Rick Meyer doesn't like what he sees, and so he calls a timeout as the Seahawks are about to begin their drive. A tie ball game here in Seattle. Rick Meyer, of course, out of Notre Dame. And Saturday, November 19th, the tradition of Notre Dame football continues on NBC. The Falcons of Air Force fly into South Bend to battle Lou Holtz's Fighting Irish squad. That's Air Force versus Notre Dame, Saturday, November 19th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on NBC. Head coach of the Seahawks, Tom Flores.
And things could be real ugly around here when it comes to the media here in Seattle. If Tom Flores' team loses number 5 in a row and to the winless Bengals, it could get tough.
Meyer, play action pass. Looking over the middle, nearly intercepted by Louis Oliver. Oliver, who was injured earlier in the game, back onto the field with a little bit of a limp. He's a tough guy. Nearly came up with a pick.
Lower right-hand corner, 29, looking at the quarterback, breaking on the ball. It's a gift, a gimme, a Christmas present, a birthday gift. Happy Hanukkah. Anything. Oh, man. It was an offering right there for the taking.
Second down and 10 from the 24-yard line for Meyer. Now it's Warren. Nowhere to run. I've heard of that song, and the Bengals are singing it. Tim Crumry on the stop. Cincinnati has tied a record today. Most field goals in a game for the Bengals up till today was 5, and Pelfrey has 5 field goals today.
Well, it has been interesting.
3rd down and 9 from the 25-yard line. A look at the Seahawks offensive coordinator, Larry Kennan. 3 wide receivers into the game now. Shotgun formation for Seattle. Meyer, good coverage. That was a bad throw intended for Rob Thomas. Mike Grimm on the coverage, but that was just a bad throw.
And Rob Thomas will catch anything. He'll catch a cold in the summertime. Kid's got great hands. That was just a bad throw by Rick Meyer.
And so, Rick Tootin, his 4th punt of the afternoon. He's averaging just over 38 yards on his punts.
Remember, this is the best punt returner in the AFC, Corey Sawyer.
Number 23, waiting for the ball. Did it hit a Bengals player? The Seahawks will try to take it in. And the question is, did it hit a Bengals player?
And
the answer is no, it did not. John Vaughn picked up the ball and ran it into the end zone. Tom Flores wants to know. Let's see.
Well, there's only one way to find out. See, they thought, no, it didn't hit it.
No, it didn't.
No, didn't hit it. But see, from behind, you think it hits 24. Now, the big mistake, though, to talk about is Corey Sawyer. You don't let that ball hit the ground and bounce. You're in good field position. You drive underneath the ball. You put your hands up and you fair catch it. They lost about 20 yards in field position based on Corey Sawyer's mistake there.
54-yard kick for two. Bengals with the ball again. Blake tripped, but Fenner still breaks out for about 5 yards. Terry Wooden on the stop.
Well, that's more of a challenge for this offense. 3 minutes to go in the football game, and that was a big drive by Seattle. The miss by Rick Meyer.
And another injured Bengal, Derek Fenner, who's been a workhorse today, comes off the field, favoring his left leg. Eric Ball, the 6-year man out of UCLA, into the ball game. Blake nearly picked off Terry Wooden with a nice play.
Terry Wooden came into this game with 130-plus tackles. And I would venture to guess that leads the NFL. But watch number 90 break on the ball. Reading the quarterback. Look at the explosion. Layout. Vertical. Knock the ball out of the way. That's a great job by Terry Wooden. Tough young player.
That ball had been thrown just a little bit to the right. Wooden might have come up with the interception.
Big
Third
play.
and 5 from the 26-yard line.
Big play.
Blake drops back. Has time. Is complete to Tony McGee, but they stopped him. That is not a first down. Eugene Robinson made the play.
Absolute beautiful defensive effort on the last 2 plays. The Terry Wooden knockdown and then the converging defense here, making sure that the big man does not get the first down. Eugene Robinson, their 10-year veteran, making the play.
And so we're coming up to the 2-minute warning. Lee Johnson will punt the ball away for Cincinnati. Seattle will get the ball when we come back to the Kingdome.
Liberty Mutual Insurance presents Legends of the Game. Critics carp that this QB's glasses had a better chance of making the Hall of Fame.
Only to find out we're not alone. It's the special 2-hour series premiere of Earth 2. Tonight, following the game at 7 Eastern and Pacific, 6 Central here on NBC. For most of you, we'll be switching to Earth 2 as soon as this game is over.
Cool Tom Flores. Never animated, never excited. He's been to too many football games. He's been in this situation.
Derek Fenner, who's been the workhorse in the Cincinnati backfield this afternoon with a hurt leg, and they're still working on it on the Cincinnati sideline. Well, 4th and 1 from the 30-yard line, and Lee Johnson to put it away for the Bengals.
Watch the fake. I guarantee you the defense is screaming, watch the fake.
Johnson with a good kick. A little turnover. Fair catch by Kelvin Martin. Makes the catch at the 22-yard line, and Seattle will work from there. Rick Meyer talking it over with his offensive coordinator, Larry Kennan. You see the time remaining, 1 minute and 53 seconds.
You know what kills me is how cool everybody tries to act. Look at Flores, look at Kennan, look at Rick Meyer. Everybody's saying, okay, minute 53 left. You know, here's what we have to do. All we need is a field goal. When you know inside of everybody's mind is, my God, if we lose to Cincinnati, we're going to get pounded in the media. Rick Meyer, his whole situation is at hand here. People have been questioning the type of season that he's had so far. And now he's got a classic 2-minute opportunity. We know what Elway would do. We know what Montana would do. We know what Marino would do. What will Meyer do?
1 minute, 53 seconds to go, 4th quarter. Meyer completes it to Paul Green. He escapes for a first down before Louis Oliver ties him up. A good effort on the part of Paul Green, who made a great play early in this game to put the Seahawks in a position to score their first touchdown. And Seattle calls a timeout with 1:40 to go. You know, we were talking yesterday with Dave Shula about Tom Flores. Last week, Dave Shula, the Cincinnati coach, got into sort of a rift with Barry Switzer, the Cowboys head coach. And some of the players were telling us, Beasley, that sort of got them psyched up for that Cowboy game. So I said to Dave Shula, well, maybe you ought to start a rip with Tom Flores, get something going for this game. He said no.
Yeah, he said no.
He said Tom Flores is one of the true gentlemen and one of the great coaches in the National Football League.
Yeah, he said that guy is on the top of my list when it comes to, you know, classy coaches. So a lot of respect from Shula to Flores in this situation.
Tom Flores has won Super Bowls as a player, an assistant coach, and a head coach. The only other man to do that, NBC's Mike Ditka. Won Super Bowl 15 with the Raiders over the Eagles, Super Bowl 18 over the Redskins, and there's John Casey warming up for Seattle. A field goal would win this ball game. 3 wide receiver set for Seattle, and they give the ball to Warren. A huge hole. And Warren nearly gets another first down.
Well, Warren didn't hit that way. He's been hitting holes all his career or all this game. He kind of snuck through that hole. I guess he doesn't want to fumble, but my goodness, that didn't look like Chris Warren.
Clock is running. 2nd down and 1. Meyer shotgun formation again. Martin is wide open on the sidelines, finally goes to him and then throws it out of bounds.
All right, smart play by Rick. You cannot afford to make a mistake now.
Meyer only has 5 interceptions this year, 8 touchdown passes. Now looking for the play from the sidelines. Larry Kennan, Tom Flores, 1:09 to go in the ball game here in Seattle.
You know, sometimes this situation can become, oh my God, I don't want to make a mistake. And you start building all of these monsters in your head, offensively and defensively. You don't want to be the one, so you play a little tentative across the board.
Warren gets the first down, holds on to the football. James Francis made the stop. We're under 1 minute to go in the ball game. Seattle moving the ball. They have 1 timeout remaining. Bengals have 2 timeouts left. And Meyer just downs it. We're tied at 17 here in Seattle. Along with producer John McGinnis, director Kelly Atkinson, Beasley Reese, and yours truly, Mike Bush. Here in the booth. First game in the Seattle Kingdome for the Seahawks this year. $32.5 million of repairs to the roof. Meyer and the Seahawks hoping the sky won't fall in on them today.
Well, I would pay a lot of attention to Mr. Blades from here on out. He's been the guy. 4 catches for 85 yards already.
2nd down and 10. That's Kelvin Martin. Rod Jones running him out of bounds. Dave Shula won his first game as an NFL head coach right here in Seattle. Tom Flores with 102 wins as an NFL head coach.
Well, this is a real big play for the Cincinnati defense. 48 seconds left in the contest. Seattle has basically had its way on this drive.
3rd and 3. Meyer looking for Blades. And on the coverage, Rod Jones. And again, the flags are thrown, but that was a very late flag, Beasley.
And a very close play. Very close play. I thought that one was okay from here. Well, there's only one way to find out.
He was on him.
Well, he was on him, but you know what? You're allowed to wrap that left hand around the guy, but you can't impede him. I'll tell you, I wouldn't call that if I was an official.
We'll hear what
The
Ron
pass
Blum
was
has to
already
say.
beyond the receiver. There is no foul. It was an uncatchable forward pass.
That's a good job. Now that's responsible officiating.
And Dave Shula, who was not happy when that flag was thrown.
Well, it takes a lot of courage to pick that flag up, and it creates a very interesting 4th down opportunity for Tom Flores. Now, he sends his kicking team out there, but let me tell you something. My first team defense would stay on the field, and I just put a cornerback back deep. I wouldn't fall for this. I don't care. It's like It's like one of those trick cigars, you know, and when your best buddy is a prankster and he hands you a cigar on Halloween night. Are you kidding me?
44 seconds to go here in Seattle.
They've got the first team defense out there making sure it's not a fake.
Toot. High punt. Sawyer again, faking like he was going to make the catch. The ball bounces for the Bengals back to about the 14-yard line, and Cincinnati has 35 seconds and 2 timeouts to get the ball into Doug Pelfrey range.
Now, I believe Sawyer made another mistake there. The rule of punt returning, and I did it for years, is to put your heels on the 10-yard line. If it goes over your head, you let it bounce because the odds say it's going to careen into the end zone. That one bounced about 5 yards in front, about the 15-yard line, and he's lucky. Sawyer's lucky that it went sideways.
Jeff Blake has been absolutely tremendous today. And they're going to run out the clock. The Bengals do not want to take any chances. They've made so many mistakes this year, and they're going to take their chances in overtime. What do you think of this, Beasley?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how much we get paid for working extra. Tom Flores didn't like it. You see him throw his hands down like, hey, okay. But I think it's a smart move. You know, you give yourself a full quarter. You take the luck of the flip. See who gets the ball first. Try to get a good return.
There's a look at another great quarterback.
Oh, boy, that's a good
Kenny Anderson.
I get scared looking at him.
Faced him a couple of times, did you?
Don't be scaring me, Ken Anderson.
We're tied at 17.
Each team will have a total of 2 timeouts in the overtime period.
Ron Blum will toss the coin. Of course, this is probably the biggest play in overtime. Whoever gets the ball has a chance to win the game.
Now, statistically, it's about 50-50. You wouldn't believe it. But the team that gets it, you know, has just as good a chance as the team that does not get it first.
But do you like the rule? It seems to me at least both teams should have an opportunity to touch the ball in overtime.
I wouldn't be opposed to that unless I had as a broadcaster, and I had a tight flight.
But I know you don't tonight because...
No. I've got a very late flight.
Because I know you want to go back to the hotel and watch Earth 2.
And watch Earth 2. And I planned my flights that way.
Same deal. There's the coin. Heads and tails. Who's going to call it? You are? Call it. What's in the air? Heads. Heads he calls. Tails it is. Seattle wants the ball. That way.
And so Seattle will get the ball when we come back in overtime at the Kingdome.
Wednesday, an all-new Perry Mason mystery. Tony Curtis, James Brolin, and Hal Holbrook.
The Bengals, Lee Johnson will kick off. Terrence Warren and John Vaughn awaiting the kick. We're all tied up at 17. Glad you're with us. This has been a good one.
It really has, and I think this is a great opportunity for one of these quarterbacks. There's been some questions about Rick Meyer this year, about his production. Although his coaches say everything has been fantastic. Young Jeff Blake for Cincinnati with the opportunity of a lifetime, and he has responded well today.
Warren at the 2. To the 15, to the 20, to the 30-yard line, 35, and he steps out of bounds. A brilliant return by Terrence Warren, the second-year man out of Hampton University, and Rick Meyer and the Seahawks.
Well, this young man tried to run a touchdown. That's the attitude in this situation. That's a real gutsy, hard run, especially right there when he tries to run through people. There he steps out. The officials do a great job at a good, gutsy return.
Warren is one of the guys that Tom Flores would like to become a star receiver on this team. He is a deep threat. And Seattle starts off in a 3-wide receiver offense. And they give it to Warren. That's Chris Warren. He only gains about 2 yards. Here's a reminder that following the game on most of these stations, it's the special 2-hour series premiere of Earth 2, followed by the network television premiere of Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country. Viewers on the West Coast will see these shows starting at 7 p.m. Pacific time.
On the last play, Cincinnati gambled that it was going to be a run. They sent their big safety, Oliver, crashing forward to make it 8 men at the line of scrimmage. They guessed right and stopped the run.
2nd down and 8. From the 35-yard line, Meyer out of the shotgun. Flushed out of the pocket. He's going to run the ball. Was he over the line of scrimmage? That's the question. He threw it away anyway.
Well, we got a couple of flags.
And the flags are on the field. I think he stepped over the line.
You saw Rick grab his helmet. He looked down at the ground and saw where he was standing. And I believe that was the reason for his frustration.
Illegal forward pass. Quarterback went beyond the line, came back and threw a pass. Penalty is loss of down, 3rd down.
Well, the place to watch, the spot to watch is the 35. Now watch Rick as he surveys the field, looking, across the 35,
Whoops.
gets back, tries to get back, and throws the ball. So real good call there. You know, Rick has made about 3 mistakes, about 2 bad passes, and then there in this critical situation.
You notice how he stepped over the line and then tried to go back.
Trying to get back.
Hoping that no one saw it. 3rd down and 8 from the 35-yard line. We're in overtime in Seattle. Blades in motion. The dish to Chris Warren. And he's going absolutely nowhere. And the Seattle crowd does not like the play calling. But Dave Shula likes the defense. Lewis Oliver and James Francis on the stop. A very conservative offense for the Seattle Seahawks. And Corey Sawyer back onto the field for Dave Shula's Bengals. Rick Tootin will punt the ball. There's a look at Sawyer, the leading punt returner in the AFC.
When we spoke to Sawyer in our meetings, he sounds like a supremely confident young man. We'll find out what he can do now because this is a big moment.
That's what Shula loves about him. Not great speed, not great size, but a lot of confidence. Calls for the fair catch there at the 27-yard line, and Jeff Blake and the Bengals will work from there.
Well, they've got more room this time. The last time that before we went into overtime, they were about at the 10-yard line. So Blake has more room to work with. That's a real good decision by Corey Sawyer to make the fair catch, and Blake has been excellent with the short passing to tight ends and to running backs. We'll see if he sticks with that. And he's also hit a couple of big ones downfield to Darnay Scott.
Jeff Blake, 30 of 41, 311 yards. The end around to Darnay Scott. Across the 30-yard line. Picks up about 5 yards on the play. David Brandon on the stop.
Really excellent play calling by Cincinnati today. They have really mixed it up. And really, when you compare what Tom Flores and his team called to what we see in the first play, at least, Cincinnati coming out with a reverse where Seattle was very conservative.
Bengals looking for their first victory. They give to Eric Ball. That's his first carry of the game. And he's tripped up after about a 1-yard gain by Terry Wooden. And so that'll bring up a 3rd down situation for Dave Shula.
I tell you, it kills me in these situations. The coaches try to act so cool. And you know good and well that Dave Shula is churning inside.
3rd down and 4. 2 tight end set for Cincinnati. Blake, quick pass, and he tried to hit Carl Pickens, and it's incomplete, and so the Bengals will have to punt the ball.
Not only was it incomplete, it was very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Blake hasn't made many mistakes today.
Well, the young man got away with one here because, number one, I don't believe he can see, and look at that crowd he's throwing into.
Yeah.
See, he got away with one there.
There's a reaction from Dave Shula. Lee Johnson, the punt away for Cincinnati. Kelvin Martin, a booming punt by Johnson. Takes Martin back to the 10-yard line, and Cincinnati will down the ball at the 2. The question is, did the ball cross over the plane and did someone touch it?
That looked like great special teams play to me. Watch that arm. Nope, must have made the play. Boy, what special teams effort by Cincinnati. A booming kick. Great corralling by the coverage guys. Now, there is some question whether or not the punter was run into. The ball is gone. Oh, that's a penalty, folks.
And that was not called.
Hello. Penalty, folks. I'm talking about drove right into the guy's knee.
That's a 64-yard punt by Lee Johnson. And Beasley, remember the last time the Seahawks were in this situation deep in their territory, Rick Meyer was sacked for a safety. Might a safety win the game today for the Cincinnati Bengals defense? They have been outstanding. 4 #1 picks in their front 7. Meyer to pass the ball. Complete. That's complete to Carlister Crumpler. His first reception of the day, number 48. James Francis made the stop.
Well, this is the best name in the National Football League, Carlister Crumpler. Makes a good catch there.
Crumpler's out of East Carolina.
Yeah.
He's a former teammate of Jeff Blake's.
Yeah, big guy.
6'6", 255 pounds, 1st and 10 for the Seahawks. Crumpler still in the game. He's in motion. Meyer. That's complete to Kelvin Martin, another 1st down.
That's a nice throw and catch, but my mind is still on that roughing the kicker call. I'm going to get into that in a few minutes. This is straight man-for-man coverage. There's no reason for Rod Jones to be out of his back pedal that early. That's sloppy man-for-man technique. He's a 9-year veteran. He should be able to sit his back pedal and cover an out route better than that.
13-yard gain for Seattle. 1st and 10 from the 27. Blades in motion. 2-back set. The give to the back, Chris Warren. And there's a flag on the play. Steve Tovar, 2nd-year man out of Ohio State, made the stop on Warren. Ron Bloom with the call. Keith Rucker appeared to be injured on the play.
10 yards. Repeat 1st down.
Rucker is on the sidelines holding his, appears to be his leg or his wrist. Tom Flores and the Seahawks backed up now to the 17-yard line. 10:20 to go in overtime here at the Kingdome. 17 all. Blades in motion. Meyer. What a hit by Jones. Incomplete pass. Intended for Brian Blades, and Meyer really got popped by Alfred Williams.
That's a good throw, almost a good catch, but very good defense here by Cincinnati, and really the whole game is in their hands. It's a good crunch there at the end of that throw.
Got to give a lot of credit to Alfred Williams and the Cincinnati Bengals. 10 minutes, 6 seconds to go in overtime. 2nd and 20. Meyer goes up top. Martin across the 30-yard line.
Well, Rick Meyer's got it going, but there's a flag at the other side of the field. That was another good pattern, another good throw.
And another mistake by the Cincinnati Bengals. 9:55 to go in overtime. We're all tied up at 17. Ron Blum on the call.
Illegal contact. 56 on the defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Ricardo did it again.
McDonald.
There he is on the right side, flashing out with his receiver. Although we see the play goes to the other side on a great pattern, a good throw, good play calling. It's an automatic first down.
Jets beat Buffalo 22-17. Cleveland over New England 13-6. The Rams 27, Denver 21. Seattle plays Denver next week. Chris Warren tries to get on the outside. And let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York for an NFL update.
All right, Mike, you mentioned the Jets score. This was the Bills' last gasp effort in the final minute. Jim Kelly's pass falling incomplete. Both these teams are 5-4 now, and for the Jets, their first season sweep of the Bills since 1986. Mike?
And here it's overtime in Seattle. We're all tied at 17. So far, not much happening offensively in overtime for either team. Meyer. And that pass incomplete, knocked away by James Francis.
There's our man, Big James Francis, with another super play. He's a big, rangy linebacker, 6'5". Look at that. He was a basketball player at Baylor. I mean, that's where you get that stretch and that reach. Played football and basketball when he was at Baylor. There's a big play.
Philadelphia beat Arizona today. Final 17-7. Buddy Ryan beaten by his former team. And so now a big play for the Bengals defense again. 3rd and 9. Meyer in shotgun formation, 3 wide receiver offense. Martin, first down Seattle.
Big throw and a big timing throw. That's a gutsy throw in this situation. He let that ball go before the receiver had even turned around, and with pressure in his face. Well, we're seeing what Rick Meyer's made of. This is a big situation. He steps up, makes the throw before Martin even turns around.
And he got hammered by Ty Parton. Second-year man out of Arizona, number 93. 1st and 10 from the 35 for Meyer. Blades to the other side. And they give to Chris Warren. He sort of sneaks past the 40-yard line. He's not busting through that hole, Beasley, like he was earlier today.
No, he gets he's such a big guy that if he can just get his body into a crease, he's got so much power, if you look at his lower body and all of that, to kind of move everything another 2 or 3 yards, and that's what he was able to do that time. It's a nice gain on first down.
They were running to Big Daddy's side that time. Big Daddy, number 99, Dan Wilkinson, the rookie, highest paid Bengal ever. Meyer. And is it picked off? No, it is not. Steve Tovar, though, very close. With the pick intended for Brian Blades.
Well, Cincinnati had the blitz working that time. They sent their big safety, Lewis Oliver, number 29, from the outside. And you see how many people are in Rick's face when he lets that go. Tovar almost grabs it. Pretty good defense.
Larry Peccatello. Boy, he wanted that one.
Oh, that would have been a big one.
3rd down and 4 for the Seahawks. You know who to look for, Martin or Blades. Meyer flushed out of the pocket, and he is taken down by Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson. We were just talking about him. The rookie out of Ohio State comes up. Big Daddy with a big play.
Look at the size of Big Daddy's face. Everything's big on Big Daddy, including this play. Now this, he got a lot of help, good coverage downfield, the flush out by Francis and Big Daddy. You know, you keep hustling, and look what he found. You see, Big Daddy came from the other side of the field after beating his man and makes the big play.
Big Daddy's nickname came from his 7th grade football team. He said it would either be Big Daddy or Greaseman, and he chose the former. Corey Sawyer. He gets away from one tackler, gets across the 15-yard line. That is a gutsy football player, number 23, Bob Spitulski on the stop. Here's a reminder that following the game on most of these stations is the special 2-hour series premiere of Earth 2, followed by the network television premiere of Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country. Viewers on the West Coast will see these shows starting at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And so Jeff Blake and the Bengals with 6:59 to go in overtime. Another chance for Blake to move Cincinnati into scoring territory. Bengals looking for their first win in 1994. Drops back to pass, looking long. That's his man, Darnay Scott. He's got it. Scott along the sidelines. He's knocked out of bounds at the 7-yard line.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is official. There is a quarterback controversy in the city of Cincinnati and on the team known as the Cincinnati Bengals. The sideline absolutely erupted. Nobody's left on the bench. They were running downfield with Darnay Scott and running to get a high-five shot at Jeff Blake. That was unbelievable. Just a great throw, great run by Darnay Scott.
Jeff Blake, a tremendous pass, and let's look at his reaction.
What a story.
That play covered 76 yards.
What a story, this kid, Jeff Blake. Every week for 3 years as the third-string inactive quarterback in the National Football League, wondering is he going to be fired so that they can use his meager salary or his roster spot to bring in another player, a player who could contribute. And talk about contribution.
Jeff Blake has gone to the sideline. Tom Flores will watch as Doug Pelfrey, who has 5 field goals already today. That ties a Cincinnati record. The team record would be 6 if he hits it here.
And if you notice the way Pelfrey walked out there was no question in that walk. It was a cocky little walk. I've hit 5. 4 of them have been from further than this. And this could be Dave Shula's first win of the 1994 season. One swing of the foot will tell it all.
26-yard attempt by Pelfrey. He's already hit from 36, 34, 36, 47, and 28. And now Seattle will try to freeze out Doug Pelfrey. The employee owners of Avis salute the game's MVP, Jeff Blake, as the winner of today's We Try Harder award. Jeff Blake, who majored in construction management, went back and got his degree after the football season last year. And boy, it's ironic because he has really constructed quite an offensive show today.
Well, that young man put on a show. 2 long bombs today. Excellent intermediate passing. In my mind, only 1 bad toss. That's the one right over the middle in overtime a few minutes ago.
We want to thank our spotters, Rod Cowden, Mike McKenna, and statistician Barry Culver. Pelfrey to win it for the Bengals. It is up. It is good. And for the first time in 1994, the Cincinnati Bengals have a victory. David Shula, his first victory as an NFL coach, came right here at the Kingdome in Seattle, and now he wins for the first time this year. Once again, the final score, Cincinnati 20, Seattle 17. For Beasley Reese, I'm Mike Bush saying so long for the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington. Stay tuned for Earth 2.